Male Redditors, what are some hints females gave you, but you didn't get them until after you had your chance? A girl once asked me to keep my dorm door unlocked so that she could wake me up in the morning. The next morning she crawled into bed with me. And I couldn't understand why she would come over if she was so tired. I stayed perfectly still so that she would be able to sleep. I was at my tutor's house, and for some reason was in her bedroom. I lay down on the bed, feet touching floor. And she came over and straddled me. I just kind of stared up at her. She looked down at me for a few moments, then got off and said, "Okay, let's do the lesson." It wasn't until a couple of months later that I was like, hey. She was waiting for me to make a move. I was clueless because she was my teacher. And she talked about her boyfriend fairly frequently anyway. She ordered an ice cream cone, accidentally smeared it on her cheek, and asked me to get it off. I grabbed the last napkin and wiped it off. Persistent as ever, she accidentally smears ice cream on her other cheek, and politely informs me that I can get it off with my mouth, given our napkin deficit. I just said, "Nah, I hate strawberry," and used my dry elbows to get it off. In hindsight, I should have used my shirt. No one has even asked me to homecoming. Me, yeah, me either. So what are you going to do? Well, I guess if no one is going to ask me, I'll probably just stay home. Me, that's probably what I'll end up doing too. Yeah, so. It would be really nice to go though. Me, I agree, but oh well. Oh me, mind if I call you that night? Sure. I was coming back home and I was at the bag pickup. This really cute girl and I started talking. The conversation was about how she was just visiting Miami and really didn't know where to go. After a while we realized that we were the only two people who haven't gotten their bags. 'Cause we were at the wrong conveyor. After some joking and a trip to the baggage claim, we got our bags and stayed there talking for a bit. My mom called me telling me that she was outside. I said I had to go and I saw a small look of confusion/frown on her face. I got into the car and then it hit me, she wanted me to show her around town, duh. I just looked at my mom and said, "You have raised the biggest idiot on the planet," and she called me gay once I told her the story. In high school, a girl asked me for a ride home from a football game one time. To which I agreed. She asked if I wanted to come in and see her room. I forget why this seemed like a normal thing, and that it wouldn't bother her parents because they weren't home. So, I went in and had a tour of her house, then left. I was pretty pissed off when I figured it out a while later. In college, I had a lot of crazy, curly hair. This girl in one of my classes started chatting me up, and said, "You have good hair. Whenever I see guy with good hair like that, I like to imagine grabbing onto it when he's going down on me." I was all, like, oh, that's interesting. I was 17 and was babysitting for this smoking hot MILF across the street, who was probably 30. The kids were long since asleep when she got home alone. She asked if I'd like to hang out and have a glass of wine, which I declined because I had no fucking idea what was up. 2 months later she was clearly banging her 19-year-old gardener. There is also the reverse hint. My first meeting with an actual Chinese national, while in China. She kept going on about how she heard that Westerners like to have crazy sex all the time. Then asking me if this is true and what do I do that normally turns me/women on. So taking this to be some kind of hint, I suggested she come back to my hotel room and find out. At which point she started getting angry with me, saying she had a boyfriend and I was a typical Westerner trying to have sex with Asians. Skeptical. I realize there's already a billion comments here, but my story is pretty great, so I thought I'd share. Back in my undergraduate days, I was after a particular girl. To try and get in good with her, I was also making friends with her roommate. Little did I know that the roommate was actually trying to put the moves on me. We're sitting together in the main cafeteria, chatting about our day. She tells me that she has obnoxious homework, she's supposed to watch this French movie for her French course, and do a report on it. She tells me how it's an old black and white film, supposed to be very romantic, etc. She invites me to come over and watch it with her. What she was saying, do you want to come to my room, alone, and watch a romantic movie in the dark? What I heard, do you want to do my French homework for me? My response, ha ha ha. Absolutely not. It was not until 2 months later that someone informed me she was after me, and that this really upset her. Freshman year of college. A girl gave me a mixtape for my birthday, yes I'm old. The first song was Why Don't We Do It in the Road? I didn't ask her out for another 3 months, because I am stupid. She is now my wife. Smile. I don't know if this counts, it's more a story about how I'm a giant pussy. I went out on a sort of date with a female friend of mine, who I was completely obsessed with. After dinner and a movie, we went to a convenience store. She told me to go inside and get anything I needed. So I come out with a bag of Sun Chips and 2 raspberry-flavored water bottles. She does a facepalm, which existed only action and not in text at the time, and tells me to grab condoms. She goes back with me. I'm nervous as hell because I'm a virgin. I fumble over several different types. The clerk looks like she is trying to restrain her laughter. So we leave, and this girl takes me to the place she went to elementary school. Creepy now that I think of it. We go out into the field and sit down and she starts getting up all over me. I tell her I left the condoms in the car. I remember doing that on purpose, because I was absolutely terrified of disappointing her. I didn't lose my virginity that night. And there's a monument to what a pussy I was in the parking lot of that school to this day. When I was in high school, my next-door neighbor was an attractive girl a grade below me. We had lived next to each other for nearly 6 years and nothing had progressed beyond mild flirtation. During my senior year, her friend, who was quite a bit less attractive, had some family issues and moved in with my neighbor's family. Since it was a small apartment complex, there really was no privacy and anything you did got around fast. There was talk amongst my friends that one of them had seen the girls kissing from time to time. One afternoon in the summer while our parents were at work, I was talking to my neighbor and her friend on their front porch. I asked her if it was true that they had been kissing. They both readily admitted it and told me that it had gone well beyond kissing. Then they asked if I wanted to come in and watch them reenact just how far it had gone. I said no because I didn't want to see the ugly girl naked. TL, Doctor, I missed out on a threesome as my first sexual experience. Can you take some pics of me while I masturbate? Me, I'm not that good at photography. My brain likes to take these memories out and fondle them. I met this cool girl at a friend's party. She sat in my lap and we talked about music. For some reason I can't recall, I had to leave the party before it was over. She complained about it and tried to convince me that I should stay. Went right over my head. Even worse, a girl I was going to the gym with was engaged and in a long-distance relationship with some dude. That probably did not go so well, because at one point she removed her engagement ring and asked me to come up to her apartment. I brought a mutual friend so we could talk about the gym and stuff. It's been 10 years and this still annoys me. As a freshman in college, I had a female friend who brought up what I thought about friends with benefits. We had an intelligent, thoughtful discussion. It was years later that I realized she was asking if I wanted to partake. 15 years later, I still can't think about it without wanting to punch myself in the face. Was out at Taco Bell with a female friend I had been interested in for a while. I'm eating my meal. She reaches into her bag and pulls out a banana, peels it, and while looking me in the eyes, deep throats the whole thing. Then nibbles off the top and eats the rest normally. The guy sitting at the table behind me saw the demonstration, as he almost choked to death on his taco. I was laughing so hard I couldn't finish eating. We left, goofed around for a while, I dropped her off. Later I realized that she wasn't trying to be funny. She was demonstrating a skill that she was very good at in the hopes I would like a more personal demonstration. Sigh. Guys, to this day, I still facepalm when recalling this moment. At a party, the girl tells me she broke up with her BF because he doesn't put out. Then she asked me if I put out. There was no hint. She was holding her hotel key and a condom. I ended up going home and playing FF12,